Hi everyone, Laura Renner here, founder of Freedom Makers, and today we're coming to you live to talk about growing versus scaling your business. To keep it simple, growing is basically where you grow your sales at the same time that you're growing your costs. So it might be that you get a new client, but with that new client you hire a person. So then while you've increased your top line revenue, your costs have increased at the same rate. So you are making more, but you're not taking home more, right? And scaling is where you're able to grow your top line sales, but your costs increase at a much lower rate, if you will. So like growth is like this and scaling is like this. And so it's a way to grow or increase your sales, but at the same time, because your costs aren't increasing as much, then you're able to take home more of that money. So in the one way, you're able to grow faster, and two, you're able to make more money while doing less work. And so, of course, when you put it that way, scaling seems to be a better option. And so we wanted to share some ways to help you scale your business. So first of all, first and foremost, especially coming from a company like ours, automating. As much as you can make automatic where it happens without you having to do the work, then the easier, the more clients you can take on at the lower the cost, and therefore you take more home, right? So these could be different software tools. It could be different ways in your process. For example, we do use a software tool. One of our favorites is Zapier. And it's when someone fills out a form, it automatically launches a checklist. It sends us a notification on Slack. So we know we need to do work, but there's one less step we have to do ourselves. Another thing, hire people. Hire people to either deliver your service or to do all the back end stuff so that you can deliver the service or product of your company. And that way you're able to take on more clients, but also have a lower cost when doing so. Another thing, simplify. So, sometimes we see business owners who develop a custom package for every single client, which if your business is that, if that's your model, great. If it's not, that's a lot of extra work, meaning that's a lot of extra cost. So anything you can simplify, like streamlining systems, building packages, simplifying pricing, standardizing things, then that helps simplify what you're delivering to your client, which then gives them a better service, but also lets you to do things more quickly, more efficiently, and therefore take on more clients without the added cost. Expanding with synergy. Partner with other small businesses so you can provide more services to your client, but without you having to do all the work. And so you're providing better service to your client without having to do a lot of the work. So then you're able to grow your business or scale. Of course, another thing we talk about a lot is building systems. The more things happen in a standardized way, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 1 using these tools, step 2 using those tools, step 3 using these processes, then it happens seamlessly and therefore lower cost, right? Lower friction, lower cost. Lower friction means lower energy, which means less resources spent, which means more resources kept, right? And then finally, diversify your revenue. And so that means maybe you do custom work for some people, but then you have the standardized work you do for others. So one, you're stimulated creatively and mentally challenged, but also you have the different revenue so that you can grow or scale with lower costs, but still grow in ways that you find fulfilling. And one thing I want to go back to is that hiring of people. Sometimes when we talk about things like this, it seems kind of obvious, but other times it's not. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that sooner? Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's revolutionary. But I was talking with someone a couple weeks ago, and he talked about, he's an attorney, and he hired an associate attorney, and, he's going to make less from the work that associate attorney does than he would if he did it himself, right? Let's just say for ease of math that he bills out at $300 an hour. And so when he does the work himself, he keeps all $300. And by hiring this associate attorney, let's say he's going to pay that associate attorney $100 an hour, again, just for ease of math. Now he gets to keep 200, or maybe 100 goes toward running the office and he gets to keep 100. And so in a way, it's like, well, I only got 100 when I could have had 300. So then do I really want to hire someone else because then I only make 100? But then kind of reverse how you, or flip around how you look at that, because one, you might be like, oh, well, I could have made 300 if I did it myself. Instead, I only made 100. Instead, look at it as I could have made 0 and instead I made 100, because now that attorney is doing work that you don't have time to do, and because maybe you're at capacity. So by him hiring an attorney, yes, he's making less per hour than he would if he did the work himself, but he's actually making more per hour than he would if he never took on that client because he didn't have the capacity to do it. So in a way, it's not minus 200, it's plus 100, because he's able to do more work. And in fact, he's not really doing all the work. So if he, the full extreme is he could have 10 attorneys doing all the work. And so now he's making $1,000 an hour for not really doing anything. That's not true. He's running the practice, which is a lot of work. But if you look at it that way, he's giving up $300 an hour to make, $1,000 an hour by hiring 10 associate attorneys. So just an example, I'm not sure if that really made sense, but just think about it that way. Like if you're like, oh, if I did the work myself, I could be making this much, but by hiring someone, I'm making less. But flip that around. By hiring someone, I'm making money I wouldn't have made because I wouldn't have had the capacity to take on that client. That is an example of scaling. So we'll leave that with you today. We've got some clearer examples and some more thorough explanations on our blog. Be sure to check it out. And happy last day of March. We'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.